Hello, hello, hello. Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, everyone. This is Jeff with Fluent American, and we're taking a look at another task two. Only this time we'll be working more on brainstorming and outlining. I've placed in the chat the document, so feel free to click there to get an idea what our essay is going to be focused on. As always, if you have questions as I'm going through anything, to post them in the chat box or send me a message afterwards. You can also join our Facebook group. I'm going to post the links to that as well. Give me one sec. You can see that in the chat box too. But yeah, this is a task I have not seen before, so this will be new for everybody. When we go through this, you can see in the document it's asking, some people say it is a waste of time to plan for the future. To what extent do you agree or disagree? Okay, so this is a fairly standard essay question. To what extent do you agree or disagree? Remember that for these type of IELTS questions, you just need to look at one side. It's not necessary to look at both sides. Now, my biggest suggestion in terms of timing when you're taking an IELTS writing test is to plan it according to the schedule. I put it in the document. The brainstorm, I would suggest taking about 1 to 2 minutes. Outline, you want to take about 5 to 7 minutes. Your writing then should take about 20 minutes, 20 to 25 minutes, depending on how fast you write. And then lastly, any time for revising will be with the remainder of time. Okay. So this should take up your full 40 minutes. The first couple of times that you do this, especially if you are not used to doing any sort of planning or outlining or anything like that, you should expect this to take a little bit longer at first. Okay, until you get used to this, your writing may actually take you a little bit longer, and that's okay. The more you get used to this, though, I think what you'll find is the faster you'll be able to write your full essays. Okay. So again, you can see our document in the chat box and also in the details. So again, some people say it's a waste of time to plan for the future. To what extent do you agree or disagree? So let's start off with the brainstorm. So when you're brainstorming, the first thing is that you need to decide an opinion. Let's say for the sake of this essay that we are going to disagree. Let's say that planning for the future is worth the time. We're going to disagree. So that's the very first thing that you need to decide. What is your actual opinion? Okay, so we're going to disagree. Now, what we want to do is we want to come up with 4 reasons why we disagree. Ideally 4. If you can only think of 3, that's okay too. But if you can only think of 2 reasons, then I would suggest looking at the other opinion and seeing if you can create more ideas. You want to have some flexibility here, and for that to happen, you need at least 3 ideas. Okay, so 3 reasons why we disagree about planning for the future. 1, maybe it can help you set expectations in terms of like for time. For like set expectations for how much time is needed to achieve a goal. Also, it can also help you set expectations for the materials you'll need. Okay, so for whatever projects you're working on, it will help you know what types of things you'll actually need besides time. So if you're maybe you're renovating your kitchen or your house or something like that, it will let you know, oh, okay, so we need to have like the right wood, we need the right stone, whatever other materials you need. Okay. Lastly, it can help you maybe like create a sense of motivation. Okay, so if you just wake up and you don't have any idea of what you're going to do, maybe that can be demotivating. But if you already have a plan for the future, it can be like, okay, I know I need to do this, I need to do this. It gives you a little bit of more direction, create a sense of motivation and direction so you're not going aimlessly. And let's see if I can think of anything else in a couple quick seconds. So I'm going to set expectations for time, set expectations for the materials, can provide a little bit of extra motivation. Anything else? Well, I don't want the brainstorm to take too long. Again, we're just trying to aim for 1 to 2 minutes, so I may stop us there. If you are going along with us, maybe you're making your own brainstorm, feel free to kind of write down your own ideas. I think that would be good. Okay. If you can come up with 4, that'd be great. You can also share your ideas for your own brainstorm too in the comments or send me a message. Great to look at them. Next, we're going to be focusing on our outline. And this is the step that a lot of my students at first don't do. I asked them, like, how do you plan your IELTS writing? And they tell me, oh, I see the question, I think for a minute, and then I start writing. And a lot of times their writing doesn't have a plan, their ideas don't feel connected, or they'll spend some time writing, and then they'll pause and be like, oh, what am I going to say next? Oh, yeah, I can say that. And then they'll write some more, and then they'll pause again and say, okay, what else can I write? Oh, I can say that. And then they'll write some more. So it's this kind of process of starting, stopping, starting, stopping. But if you make an outline, it should help limit those times where that occurs because you have a better idea of what you're actually going to say. An outline, we're going to be specifically focusing on a body paragraph. So that's a key thing to consider. Outlines are going to be focusing on body paragraphs. Your body paragraphs have several parts. There's a topic sentence. This identifies what the whole paragraph should discuss. It argues. This is a good note. The topic sentence is that very first sentence of your body paragraph. It should have some sort of argument. If your topic sentence does not have an argument, it's hard to write a body paragraph. What are you arguing? If you're arguing a fact or something that's true, then what are you going to write about for the full essay? You want to make sure your topic sentence has something that you can debate, that you can argue, that people to be able to say that you could be wrong because you want to have the point that you're trying to prove. After your topic sentence, you should have at least 2 main ideas. Your main idea is going to explore one aspect of the topic sentence. Just one part of it. Doesn't need to explain the full thing, just one tiny part. Lastly, your details. Your details are your opportunity to provide proof, examples, and demonstrations for why the main idea is true and why that main idea is important. Okay, these are key components of a detail. You need to be explaining all of those things. Okay, so let's take a look at outlining a body paragraph. Ideally for right now, we'll try to outline one body paragraph, and then I'll show you what that outline, how that outline can be used to make a full body paragraph. Okay, so how do you decide what your topic sentence will be? Well, look at your brainstorm. So for our brainstorm, we already came up with 3 or 4 ideas, which is great. Okay, you want to choose 2 of those ideas that you think are going to be easiest for your body paragraphs. So one body paragraph, 1 of these points from your brainstorm. So for instance, let's say set expectations for how much time. Let's pick that. Okay, so topic sentence. So by creating a plan doesn't waste time because, and when you're making your outline, like we're doing right now, so we're making our outline, something to consider is that you don't need to write complete sentences. You just need to write ideas. You're just trying to have something to remind you when you're writing about what you want to say. You don't want it to take a long time. Again, 5 to 7 minutes for your outline is fine. Just 5 to 7 minutes. Okay, so I'm just writing shorthand here for because, just BC. Creating plan doesn't waste time. We're connecting that to our question because our question says some people say it's a waste of time. We're disagreeing. We're saying creating a plan doesn't waste time. And now we're giving a reason because it creates expectations for how long project will take. That's our topic sentence. So now this whole paragraph is just going to focus on explaining that a plan helps create expectations, and that's important, okay, for how long a project will take. For instance, this can be seen in a variety of fields, for instance, where contracts maybe like specify or like request periods of time or deadlines. Contracts and projects request periods of time or deadlines. For instance, we mentioned the home renovations before. Okay, if a homeowner is deciding among contractors for maybe like a bathroom renovation, we'll talk more about these word choices in a moment. If a homeowner is deciding among contractors for a bathroom renovation, they typically want to know how long construction will take. And then you could even take this a step further. Why do they want to know how long it's going to take? Maybe like this is because like this knowledge is important because they need maybe like the residents need to know the amount of time they won't be able to use the facilities for. This is just one quick example, okay, of talking about one reason for expectations. Okay, so like if you're a homeowner, you're trying to get your house renovated, and like you only have one bathroom, and they're going to renovate the bathroom. You need to know, like, okay, I can't use this bathroom for a month, or I can't use it for a couple of weeks, or however long the renovation takes, depending on the size of the project. Okay. This is not as important because the residents need to know the amount of time they won't be able to use facilities for and make plans. So maybe, for instance, they'll have to go to, like, for instance, to a hotel or to a family member's house, things like that. Okay, so because they need to use the bathroom at some point, so they need to know how long they need to budget for. Okay. So firstly, this is related to like business and projects. Okay, and then that's what our main idea is. And then we give an example of a type of project. Okay. So again, the progression of this paragraph, I really can't stress it enough. This whole paragraph, it starts off with the topic sentence saying that you need to plan. A plan doesn't waste time because it creates expectations for the duration of a project. Okay. This occurs in a variety of different fields. Okay. So for instance, in business, or for instance, a home project, you need to know how long you won't be able to use something. Let's now think of, we have a topic sentence, a main idea, two details linked to that. Let's try to think of really quick one more main idea. Again, focusing on the topic sentence. The topic sentence says, we don't waste time because it creates expectations for how long a project will take. Okay. Also, maybe we can approach it from the other side. Without knowing deadline, it becomes difficult. Again, we need to link this for set maybe like an end goal. And this is again related to set or maybe a deadline. I like to know when a project is finished. So for instance, we could talk about in business, it's like maybe for instance in events, planning an event, planning for an event, the organizers need to ensure that the performers or participants can have maybe like work finished in time. And we can go even a little bit more specific. Maybe we can name a specific type of event, such as arts festival or an album release band. The organizers need to ensure the performers or participants can have work finished in time. Otherwise, the event may occur. The artists involved do not have any pieces to display or showcase. Okay, so it just kind of makes it more reasonable. Okay, so again, what you're doing, this detail is all explaining about, it lets people know about a deadline for a project to know when it's going to be finished. Okay. All right, so this is just a real quick example of one body paragraph. Let's maybe run through one more outline really quick. So let's say set expectations for materials. Okay, so this was our first body paragraph, was above it. Again, in the document, you'll see me, I'm separating it by body 1. Body 2 is going to have the same type of structure. So then we'll have a topic sentence. Plan is also crucial for helping. Plan is also crucial for, let's say, preparing materials. Why is this true? Why is a plan crucial for preparing materials? Planning beforehand, firstly, people are able to take time to consider their needs before the project starts. Okay. So for instance, now we need a detail. Since earlier we mentioned already, what did we mention before? We mentioned, for instance, the arts festival or an album release party or things like that. So the things that, again, we already mentioned. So since we mentioned those things before, it's okay to kind of reference back to them in your next paragraph. It shows that you kind of have a plan or an organization for your writing. So we can do that here. It's like you could say something like, in the aforementioned case of the Arts Festival, the organizers may meet months in advance to go over topics such as how many vendors to invite, where to put up booths. Okay, I'm also paying attention to my vocab here, so I'm using things like phrasal verbs and things like that to try to help with the vocab. Okay, you always need to be also considering your vocab naturally when you're talking about these things too. The more specific, more concrete you can get with your vocab. Also things like phrasal verbs, collocations, idioms. These are all vital things for your score. So I'm trying to work in as many of them as I can into our essay. Okay, so that's why we have things like to go over topics, where to put up booths, and how much maybe like food to prepare. Maybe even take the detail a step further. Like if these preparations, if these maybe like initial estimates are not made, we can actually turn this into a main idea of sorts. This is kind of working as a detail / a main idea. So if these initial estimates are not made, it can lead to problems during an actual event. Especially with regards to having enough supplies. And then the detail for that. For instance, food may run out before expected. Or, again, food is actually a place where we could go a little bit further. So for instance, like hot dog, you can name different types of foods. For instance, like hot dog stands and so that's a for instance, food may run out before expected at hot dogs or drink stalls due to overwhelming demand. Or, should I give one more example? Or a stage may require more nails or pieces of wood to be installed correctly and safely. Proper planning, such as asking other experts for advice or suggestions, these types of mistakes could be okay. This is just a quick example of some outlines that I would prepare for body 1 and body 2. Naturally, it would take a little bit longer because we were kind of talking through it. But again, the more you practice this in person, the easier it will get. I also think, again, when you're changing these outlines into actual body paragraphs, and you can see I wrote more complete sentences, but you don't have to write complete sentences. But when I'm actually making this into my essay, I already have an idea of what I'm going to write. I'm not going to spend a whole lot of time thinking, okay, what am I going to say next? What am I going to say next? Everything's already going to be here. Okay, so again, this is just another quick example of how I would prepare a brainstorm and an outline for task 2. Again, if you have questions or comments or anything related to this essay, be sure to send me a message or leave a comment. And I appreciate your time. Thank you, guys. Have a good day. Have a good night. Have a good afternoon. Take care.